Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us for this customer webinar. I'm always excited and I always enjoy talking to our customers. And today we're going to be actually talking to Simplex, who is a fintech company, and they're doing amazing things with crypto. So welcome. Hope you have a great time. Just wanted to remind you all that we are going to be having a Q&A at the end. But you don't have to wait until then. You can pop in your questions anytime in your chat, and then me or one of the other panelists will be able to answer those. I'm sorry, I'll ask the panelists, and then they'll be able to answer those as it comes up. Welcome, Mark and Greta. Let me introduce both our panelists first. So Mark Faber is the VP of Customer Success at Simplex. Now, Simplex is a leading financial institution in Europe and was selected as one of the 10 most impactful companies in blockchain in 2020. Mark manages Simplex's operations center and customer success teams, including a 24/7 end user support function with industry-leading CSAT and response times. His years of experience in growing and nurturing customer success teams in high growth stage companies give him the upper hand in driving growth and operational excellence. Welcome, Mark.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Greta is an experienced customer support and operations manager with a demonstrated history of working in the customer service and support area. She has several years of experience in IT, service management, and contact center support. She holds a master's degree focused in law and management from Michael Romero Universitas. I hope I said that right. Welcome,
yes. Thank you.
Very excited to have you both here. So let's jump right in. So Mark, as I understand, you were involved very heavily in the first half of the deployment with Netomi, and Greta, you sort of came in a little bit later in the process. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. I am considering myself as relatively new for Simplex because I joined just in the very beginning of December, but I would say just at the right time in terms of Netomi to review multiple things and suggest multiple improvements.
Okay, all right. So I guess the questions about the initial part of, how did you pick Netomi, etc., then I will direct to Mark. So Mark, maybe to start off, you could, tell us what Simplex is all about.
Sure, gladly. So Simplex is as you mentioned, is a fintech company, and we effectively pioneered the way of what we call on-ramp and off-ramping from the traditional world of finance. As everybody knows, banking, banks, credit card companies, and so on, and the whole new frontier of finance, which is the distributed Web 3.0 type, financial system. And so Simplex basically effectively allows people to use their existing financial institutions, credit card companies, primarily Visa and MasterCard was kind of our first foray, to buy crypto assets and then also sell those crypto assets and get fiat, what we call fiat, which is regular currency, back. So this is hence the name on-ramping and off-ramping. So it's kind of a bridge between these two financial worlds.
Oh, okay. Wow, that sounds like all cutting edge. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, it certainly was at the time that we started. I mean, we've been doing this for about 8 years or so, and in the life of crypto, that's a very long time. So yeah, we've evolved and kind of added additional ways of being able to do what I just described. But yes, it was very cutting edge and continues to be because it's a very fast evolving industry.
Yes, and I think that's a little bit similar to AI too. It's fairly recent. So if you've been in here now, even for a few years, you're actually one of the old timers.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. How about you give us a little bit of a background on where Simplex was before you started engaging with Netomi? Like, what were the channels that you were using?
Right. So it's always been very important to us, even though we're a B2B company, we have a B2B2C component to it. I mean, so we sell directly to businesses through whom their users, their customers come to us and use our system. So it was always very important to Simplex to have a direct contact with our end customer And so we initially kind of outsourced some of that activity, and then talking about 4 or 5 years ago, brought that in-house. And we decided it was important to us to be able to have immediate interaction with our customers as they were using our product, right? So they're doing credit card processing, and they are dealing with something which in general terms is something quite unfamiliar to them, and we felt it was very important to be able to respond to them therefore immediately and quickly. So we have 2 main channels of support for our end customers. One is as email, and we have where we started, and then we very soon added a chat component as well, so a live chat component. And Greta's team, and she'll talk more about it later, basically are available 24/7 to our customers as they're using our product to be able to buy or sell crypto, and through chat and email.
Okay.
It's about 65% chat, 35% email is more or less the breakdown.
Okay. What are the kinds of volumes that you see over chat and email?
So, I mean, like everything in our industry, it changes very much. I mean, because we're in a very volatile industry, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that, I think, later as well. One of the things that prompted us to look into partnering with Netomi was a very big spike in the volumes that we saw, particularly last year. So crypto goes through these ups and downs. Anyone who's following it will know right now is a little bit of a downtime for crypto. So we can see anywhere between 500 to 1,000 chats a day on the one hand, to 8,000 to 10,000 chats in a day on the at the extreme. I mean, those are kind of the range that we end up seeing. Okay.
So would you say that is one of the reasons you started looking for an AI solution, just to manage the volume and seasonality?
So yeah, I wouldn't even call it seasonality, because if we could predict when it would happen, then we'd all be doing crypto trading, I think, rather than doing what we're doing. And but we can predict it at all. But yes, we do see these very kind of unpredictable spikes. And when that happens, what we wanted to really last year, it was around this time last year, April, May time last year, there was a real crypto bull run. There were particular coins that were very, very popular at the time, and we were the only supporter of those particular coins. And so we saw huge increases in volume. And one of the things we were dealing with, amongst lots of different business challenges in that time, was the fact that we had all of these customers coming to us and saying, look, we're having certain issues, as always is the case, and we weren't being able to respond to them quickly enough. We simply couldn't handle that volume. We have a relatively large team that's based in Lithuania, like I said, who are available 24/7, but they were unable to deal with the kind of volumes of requests that were coming through during that period. So really got us thinking, like, okay, since we know this can happen, it's not the first time it's happened. The kind of tools that we were using, we use Zendesk as our platform for customer support, and the kind of tools that they made available natively were insufficient in being able to give people the kind of comfort that they need when they're parting with their money to buy something which they're a bit uncertain about, because it's a new frontier for them. And so we needed to find something which was a lot more scalable on the one hand, but also kind of kept that kind of personal touch to it as well.
Sure. So definitely scale, but is there also a need to respond within a certain time frame? Is there like an immediacy that is required in this?
Yes, absolutely, for sure. I mean, so we have very tight SLAs that we've always had for the support team. And again, as Greta can talk more about this, as she manages this team on an ongoing basis now. But from the beginning, it was important to me to set very aggressive SLAs. And so we look to try to respond to chats that come in within 2 minutes, and emails to have a full response, not just the first response, within an hour as well. So those are our SLAs. So yes, it was very, very important for us to be able to continue with that. Again, we're talking about real-time transactions here. People, are very uncertain. Just the whole newness of what they're dealing with, and the uncertainty of, are they going to get what it is that they're looking for? And it's not like buying a pair of shoes or a pair of pants online. This is a lot more uncertain. So yes, it's important for us to be able to respond to them quickly, and in a very personal way as well. So all of these were taken into account when we did, were thinking about how to solve this scale problem that we were facing. Okay.
Yeah, all of that makes total sense. So why Netomi? What were the criteria that you used to pick Netomi?
Okay, so as is always the case, we kind of took a look at what there was out there once we decided we wanted to be able to do this. And we looked at a number of different criteria, right? So some of which I've mentioned already, but I'll mention them all again. So firstly, really important for us to have a strong AI-based natural language, successful natural language kind of base to the solution, right? Like I mentioned, we were using Zendesk as kind of with automated responses and some of their what they called kind of a bot type of response as well, and it was very limited. It was sending customers based on keywords to our knowledge base, and that really wasn't enough. It was frustrating customers. They weren't feeling like they were getting the support they need. So we wanted to make sure that we had a solution which could help them really understand what our customers were asking, right? That was problem number one. And so we really engaged on that parameter. We also wanted to make sure that it was native or fully integrated into our platform for support, which is Zendesk, as I mentioned. So that was a really important one. It couldn't have been, we didn't want to have a separate platform to be able to handle this. We wanted it to be fully integrated and natively integrated. So that was another important criteria. We at the time were thinking and continue to kind of want to be able to find a solution that can support multiple channels. Like I said, we have chat and email at the moment. We also use social media as a way of being able to respond to our users. So it was important for us to find a way that we could do that through one solution as well, even though we've only currently implemented the chat because that's our primary channel. But it was important for us to find a solution which could support more than one. And we were also obviously looking for a company with some experience in our space, right, which isn't easy to find. This was not something which had been done very much before in the crypto space, but we were looking for, if where possible, a company or partner who could reference somebody in the same space as us, such they could, we could be sure that they could understand the kind of use cases that we were talking about. And finally, looking at the typical kind of things when you look at it, any vendor relationship, which are how easy it is to do business with them, of course, and specifically how complicated it will be to both implement and subsequently to maintain and run the system on an ongoing basis. And of course, price was a factor as well.
Yeah. And when you were mentioning you were looking for somebody who had some experience in the industry, I'm just thinking, I'm sure you have like a lot of compliance requirements and security requirements because you're dealing with in a regulated market. So I think those are also probably considerations.
Yes, absolutely. And more than just being in a regulated market, we're actually a regulated entity in Europe. We are licensed as an electronic money institution. So we have to absolutely comply with certain regulations. And yes, that was important for us. A company that understood, could take seriously, and could fit into those regulatory constraints that we had.
Yeah. Okay. So once you chose Netomi, then what are the goals that you had for your AI? Like, did you gradually ramp it up? How did you start? If you talk to that.
Sure, I can. And just to make sure that everybody knows, and like you mentioned earlier, I'm not trying to hog the the mic here. Greta is going to talk about a lot of the, once we've originally implemented, because she wasn't around so much at the time that we made the assessment and the purchase. So that's why I'm taking these questions. But I mean, Greta's going to kind of fill you in a lot more about what we've been doing since then. So our goals were quite straightforward. I mean, there were three main things that we were looking to achieve. One is a degree of cost effectiveness or scale effectively, looked at from two different perspectives. So we wanted to be able to grow the ability to be able to support multiple, in fact, even orders of magnitude, size increases in our volume without having to grow our team, right? So we wanted to make sure that we could grow our team as we needed to in an organic way, but we couldn't be able to obviously scale, on a dime as necessary. We didn't want to necessarily grow this team, beyond a certain point. So cost effectiveness was very important for us. And I think we'll talk a little bit about that. Greta can talk a little bit about how we measured that with some help from Natomi as well. The other two things which were really important to us was that it would work, for want of a better term, i.e. that the bot, who we call Sarah, by the way, and we're going to kind of keep referring to her as such. So Sarah would be successful in deflecting requests independently as much as possible, right? I mean, it's important for us that that she could identify and then solve a request coming in from our customers successfully. So for in Netomi parlance, the deflection rate was an important criteria. And we didn't want to do that and all of this at the expense of customer satisfaction. Another thing which is very important to us to measure, and we continually measure that and strive for very high satisfaction levels. And we didn't want the bot experience. This comes back to the whole idea of being able to handle natural language in a good way. Didn't want that to kind of really spoil our good standards of customer satisfaction. So CSATs were another core criteria for us.
Okay. And Greta, I'd like to invite you into the conversation now. So what are, what did the initial implementation look like when you came on board, and what has it like, what does it look like now? Has it changed much? How has it evolved?
I guess the initial implementation, it was done prior. I joined Simplex. So maybe Mark would like to comment about that, and then I could take over about the current work that we are doing with the team.
Okay, I'll say a quick word about it. We decided to do this in a phased approach, right? And so we wanted to test the effectiveness, against all the criteria that I mentioned earlier. And Netomi were great. I mean, they really helped us build a plan to be able to pilot this. And we piloted it with 2 intents, effectively. We chose 2 commonly used but relatively simple intents or use cases or types of request to implement initially, and we measured the success of of this based on those 3 criteria that I mentioned, cost effectiveness and primarily deflection and CSAT, based on the results of those 2 specific intents. And I'll let Greta kind of expand on that now and what we do before.
Yeah, so this was the very, very beginning. And when I joined, I think we had already 3 of those intents live. So these 2 pilot intents and all of the other intents, they are representing our main demand drivers of the requests that are coming to the support teams. So as of today, we have 10 live intents, and 2 are in a pipeline for the UAT testing. So very soon we will have already 12, and that is already more. That covers more than 50% of all of the requests that we are getting in general. I think that it's probably close to 70. Based on the initial clustering of the topics, we selected those themes that were the key demand drivers, and then month by month automated the rest. I would say in average is like we're going live with 2 intents per month. So looking into everything, what kind of topics we already have live. So right now, our chatbot can help customers with the verification process, providing the identity documents or email verification, then some technical errors where the solution is really basic troubleshooting, where the advice is enough, for example, like delete your cache and cookies or use the browser in incognito mode, something that does not require deep troubleshooting. Then our consumers can also check the payment status using the bot that redirects to the self-help tools. Then they can check, they are getting the guidance how to check if the cryptocurrency arrived to this destination wallet address. Also, the bot partially handles such cases as the declined payment or payment cancellation or the refund. One of the latest that we implemented was related to the fraudulent payment and following the fraud prevention, basically, program. So I would say that with Netomi help, we are doing the reclustering every quarter to see what's new, what are the new trends. Then we're optimizing the bot, mapping the new queries to existing intents or creating the new ones. And this is how we work basically from the day I joined.
Okay. So for some of our viewers who don't understand what clustering does, clustering really surfaces patterns in questions where if the bot is noticing that a lot of people are asking the same kinds of questions, so then it suggests that as one of the questions that we should be adding to our repertoire, so to speak. So, okay. Thank you for that. So what are your SLAs? I know Mark mentioned 2 minutes, but what are you seeing? What are the kinds of responses that you're seeing now? And how has it improved?
Improved, and I would say they improved a lot. Again, when I joined, we had a little bit higher volume. So this response time was even a little bit higher, but looking into what we have with the chatbot. So our response time, initial response time, I would say it's instant. The Zendesk reporting, all in all, it shows right now around 10 seconds, and we are able right now manage seconds with the bot and with the handoff to the live agent. So I think that this was the greatest improvement, because customers don't need to wait in a queue any longer until the agent will become available and will be able to serve the chat. They can first talk with the bot and only then reach the agent if there is a need, of course.
Yeah, okay. So this is, if it cannot be automatically resolved, then you have a live handoff to the agent.
Yes, then we have the handoff to the live agent.
Okay, so you saw your response times go down from 2 minutes or upwards of 2 minutes down to 10 seconds. You said that's quite an improvement.
Yes,
okay.
Right now it's 10 seconds. So
okay, so tell me a little bit about your audience. Are they chat first? Do they prefer to talk to a live agent first? Like, I'm assuming if it's crypto, it's skewing a little younger, so they are very open to chat as a means of communication.
I would say that the audience is very, very different. And as Mark mentioned earlier, so we still have both support channels. We're still getting requests via emails, but chat is still the main channel. 65–70% of the queries are coming through chat, and it's really different people who are coming, because we are covering 24/7. We are covering, we are supporting almost all of the countries, part of those which are going under sanctioned countries list. So in terms of the age, let's say, I couldn't specify that we have the very certain group of people, let's say just the youngsters are coming to us. We have various range of age and different people. So
okay, all right. So now let's talk about KPIs and results. How do you measure ROI? And this is open to both of you.
So Mark, maybe you want to start?
Sure. We looked to Netomi to help us understand like how we should expect to see the results in terms of cost savings, right? So we measure ROI in two ways effectively. One is well, against all of the different criteria that I mentioned earlier. In fact, it's 3 ways. Sorry. One is to look at our CSATs, and again, Greta will talk a little bit about exactly how we do that. But it was important for us to be integrated into Zendesk. So in the same way that we measure CSATs in Zendesk, we're able to manage to measure it, for Sarah, the bot, for overall, including Sarah and excluding Sarah as well. So that's one way of measuring it, and I think Greta will elaborate a little bit. Cost effectiveness and deflection rates, and again, 2 things which are critical to be able to ensure that this is successful. Greta's done a huge amount of work together with the really great, and as we said, I didn't mention it earlier, customer success team that of Netomi, who've been really supportive of us the whole way through, right from the initial integration all the way through now, and doing things like being able to help better measure deflection in a more accurate way. So we continue to measure deflection, both of the AI only, so those kind of requests that are responded to and solved purely by Sarah, and those which have a handoff as well. So we measure that. And cost effectiveness, I'll let Greta kind of talk a little bit about how we measure that based on a model which Netomi helped us develop.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So I guess I'll also start from the CSAT. So the CSAT was basically one of the main criteria when selecting the vendor for the bot, because prior to the bot, the team maintained really high customer satisfaction score. It was close to 90%, something in between, 88, 89, something like that. We obviously cannot expect the bot to perform the same and to achieve the same results. However, looking into this overall customer experience, we're really looking forward to delete those boundaries between the bot and the agent support, so the customer would have that sense of feeling of the good support, despite the fact that he is talking with the bot or with the agent. So there should be no difference if the customer is talking to AI or the human being. So that is something that we are striving for, and our CSAT is obviously increasing every week. Would it be separately the bot CSAT, or would it be combined all together? Talking about the cost effectiveness, and it's very closely related to the deflection numbers, and I think this parameter is probably the most important one, because it helps. It really helps to save money in general. So the first year was probably a little bit challenging to us, but I understand that in order to achieve the result, we have first of all to invest the time to create those 10, 12 intents that covers majority of the topic, and then we are seeing those results. So that takes time. Obviously takes time. So at the moment we are in negotiation to extend the contract for a second year, and we set very clear goals to ourselves that we are looking forward to save the cost of the 3 FTs for Simplex by increasing this end-to-end or AI only deflection to 40 or 45%. So imagine that reaching these numbers, we probably would be able to scale the operations even more and to reduce the number of the team.
Okay. Yeah, and if I can just add to that, I mean, so the idea is not only to be able to scale, because obviously there are going to be points in time where we need the bot in order to help us scale as well. But I mean, we also want it to be able to make sense financially, even at times when we're at standard or normal kind of volumes, and therefore we talk about this idea of being able to save a number of full-time equivalent members of the team, as it were, such that there would have been organic growth. We would have had to hire YZ number of additional people, and we want to mitigate that, or to obviate that, I should say, by having the bot being able to respond to a certain percentage of our requests, and therefore stick with the team the size it is at the moment.
Okay. We actually now have a poll for our viewers. So, do you have AI deployed in your organization? And if you do, if you don't, then what is the top reason that you've been avoiding AI? So we'll just give a few seconds for people to answer this question. We're already seeing answers come in. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's it. All right, so in the poll and then share the results. So here's the answer. Yes, we have an AI solution, 38%. No, we don't have one in place, is 63%. Some of the answers are too costly, which is 13%. Surprisingly, nobody has chosen lack of resources. Not sure it works for my organization is 13%, and other is 75%. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here. If you want to actually put it in chat what the other reasons are, we would love to hear from you. I meanwhile have a question, Greta, for you from the audience. Francesca asks, Greta, is your 24/7 coverage based on live agent or the bot?
Both. So we also have live agents covering 24/7, because really you can never know when the handoff will need to happen and the live agent will have to step in.
Okay, but you just have a smaller team because the bot answers a lot of the questions.
We do not have the smaller team yet. We haven't reduced the size of the team. We still have the same status quo as we had the last year. But if we will be progressing with the numbers of deflection, what we are looking for this year, so potentially we may have the smaller team as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I just want to clarify that. I mean, it's we're not looking to necessarily shrink the size of the team. It's important for us to have human agents available, all the time. So we feel like we've got to a point where we have the right number of people to be able to handle the kind of requests we have. We're just not looking to grow it, even at normal kind of levels of volume. So it's not a question of shrinking the team. It's a question of not having to grow it.
Yeah, not expanding the team, because I guess it will be impossible, let's say, if tomorrow we will have another spike of, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 chats per day, we obviously won't have such capability to hire additional 5 people to handle this extra volume.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We did hear back from Francesca about the other, and she says, we don't know the benefit of AI and how it can apply to our operation. So I think that's one of the very common things that we hear is they hear a lot about AI, but they don't exactly know if it applies to the organization and how exactly it'll help. So thank you, Francesca, for adding that color. We have a question from Jerry. Do you influence your customer to use chat, or is it organic based off of the choice of channel?
It's based on the choice. Because going on our website, simplex.com, customers have basically both options. They can go to chat. They can even though browse in the knowledge base first and then go to chat or open the ticket or write the email.
Okay. And Angela says, we're just getting to a level in our company where this will this will be necessary. And that makes sense too. As you scale, as you grow, that's when the need for these comes up. So thank you for adding that as well. So what has it been like working with Netomi? Has it been a good experience? How easy has it been?
Yes, I guess Mark already mentioned that. It was really a great experience during the implementation. I guess I can echo for the same, because right now I'm spending most of my time working with Netomi myself and a few other my team members. So we have the weekly meetings, we have the Slack channel, and the team is definitely always available in case of, of any other question. Let's say if we have something urgent, we can always jump on a call and discuss and find the solution. Again, when Mark mentioned we had some challenges about the deflection calculation, so we put combined effort and managed to find that right method on how to calculate these numbers. In addition, we do the reviews of the customer satisfaction scores. We do the same mentioned reclustering every quarter, seeking the ways of how to optimize the bot, how to update the existing intents so they could provide the same similar experience as speaking to the live agent. From our side, we have also the dedicated team member from the support team who is working to create all these intents, full of the ideas, making the flows. At the same time, she is doing chats, so she knows what kind of the queries customers are coming with, and it's easy to update those. And I'm really grateful for our customer service manager, who is really very, very responsive and takes all my and my team questions every time and helps to find the solution in every situation. I'm sometimes thinking that I'm becoming the headache for him, but really, really appreciate all that work he does.
Okay, that's great to hear. Francesca has another question. How do you socialize AI if some of our important users are not tech savvy?
Good question, actually. Our AI on all these flows are, I would say, very, very simple. So it's really the overall conversation. It really reminds the conversation with a live agent. And in our responses, we did not add any kind of the, very, very technical solutions that the customer would be given the guidance of the 10 bullet points, where to go, what to click, where to press. So everything is simplified as much as possible, because we know that, we might have some youngsters coming in, but we might some elderly people who are not tech savvy. If there is something more complicated, I guess then we are switching to the live agent to hold hands for that customer and to try that solution further.
Yeah, and I think that is a good advice just in general when you deploy AI, right? Is always keep things as simple as possible, which segues beautifully into the question, my next question, which is, what would your advice be for other crypto companies who are looking to implement an AI solution? And again, this is open to both.
I guess I wouldn't separate the crypto or payment processing companies. That would be probably general advice in general. So frankly speaking, don't expect that things will be easy. No, don't expect that in a month, in a few clicks, you will get everything done. Both sides have to input a lot of work and efforts for things starting to work, because making the full picture, let's see how it goes. So we have to create the use cases. You have to create the deflection calculation methodology based on the tool that you're using. Then you have to do the reviews, ongoing reviews, let's say, of the cases, of the CSAT, multiple analysis, then train and optimize the bots, make various enhancements, make updates, changes. So it's an ongoing work every single day. But what I could tell that the results are really rewarding, because when you see, let's say, from where we start and where we are now, let's see, in just half of the year, so there is a big difference. So just some numbers from our experience to compare. In December, our overall deflection was roughly around 20-22%. Right now in April, we have 42%, and it keeps increasing, percent by percent, I would say every single week. Again, for those who are considering if it's worth, so I would say yes, it is, but you have to do your own homework. Mm-hmm. And what that means, doing the homework, do a lot of analysis. You have to understand your demand drivers. You have to identify the scenarios that potentially could be automated, what bot could answer. You have to evaluate also your volumes in general. Is it worth? Because if you're getting like 20 chats per day, maybe it isn't, right? But if you're getting like 2,000 and the demand is not stable, so definitely something worth to consider. Then calculate the ROI, and then from there, everyone will be able to set very clear goals and expectations for yourself and for Netomi team to collaborate and put all your efforts to succeed.
Okay, thank you. I think you answered one of Joel's question, which was what is the level of deflection that you're seeing, but you already answered that. So Jerry has a question. Do you have a concurrent chat goal for your chat reps? What are you seeing now? And how, and was it deflection from emails or phone calls? Do you have a concurrent chat goal for your chat reps? And what are you seeing now? And what was your deflection, I guess, is what it should read. And what was your deflection from emails or phone calls?
We don't have any phone calls, so we have only emails and the chats. Mm-hmm. Talking about the deflection, so in the end of the day, I think that we are resolving every single case when it reaches to our representatives. Some of them might be required to send to some other teams in Simplex, for example, I don't know, let's say to fraud or to compliance, because that is their scope of query. But looking into the emails or those tickets, so we have one parameter in the Zendesk, which is called one-touch tickets, means that the ticket has been resolved with the first initial response. So this number varies from 80 to 85%. So it means that only 15 or 20% of the users, they are reopening the ticket and having the follow-up question or requiring any additional explanation of what was already shared. And what was the other question? Sorry, the beginning of that.
We have a concurrent goal for chats. I mean,
yeah, so we don't have the deflection for chats for agents, because it should be like 100%, right? You have to resolve, but we obviously do for CSATs. And for the CSATs, we keep that different. So our goal for bots to reach the CSAT is 75% for the fully deflected cases, and for agents team, we have 85 as the bare minimum, but always striving to 90.
Okay. And Francesca asks, if you had to do things again, is there anything you would do differently, and if so, what?
For me, I guess it's a little bit hard to comment about the very beginning, but I guess I would do that homework first, to do the very, very deep analysis. Maybe try to automate some, let's say, not just 2 cases, but maybe 4 or 5, to see how it works with more intense straight away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, other than that, I would say that,
I'm wondering, Greta, maybe do you think it would be worthwhile, and kind of thinking out loud here, to have somebody within the team dedicated to it, and kind of earlier on than we had, kind of being more involved in the initial design of those intents, or do you think that was done early enough as well?
I guess so, because comparing the intents, by the way, it's a very good topic that you touched on, comparing the intents. So we were growing as well. The very first intents, they were very, very basic, with a few of the questions, and and probably that's about it. 1 question or 2 questions, few responses. Right now, our dedicated team member, she's making the flows with so many questions. She is connecting those flows with each other. So we started recently the exercise, since we already have a good number of intents live. We are reviewing right now the initial 3 and almost trying to make them from the scratch, so to make them to the same level as we have with the recent intents.
Okay. And then finally, 1 question from Liz. She asks, we are trying to, I think I'm just going to summarize here. She says, we're trying to sell the AI, the concept of AI support to our leadership. And, what is your advice for somebody who's trying to do this?
Mark, what works the best?
How do you make
for us, I mean, it's like with every selection of every new technology, right? It has to be a good business case for it. I mean, that's really the primary driver. And, in our industry, like we've talked about, it was this idea of being able to scale up and scale down a team, right, which doesn't make any sense financially. So a solution that can do that automatically is obviously appealing. And then even on, like I said, in steady state, it's important to be able to see that this could pay for itself, right? And so that's why, we do target certain deflection goals as well. So I think those are the main criteria. If you can, prove a good business case for this, to help deal with a particular acute problem which you consider to be important. And like I say, being able to give good customer support was always a key part of our offering, of our value proposition. Then that's the kind of thing, the easiest way to be able to convince anybody to be able to do something. And this was the case for Netomi. From the outset.
Just add 1 thing, probably, yes, so the ROI would be one of the main, I guess, arguments from the financial perspective. And the other thing, I don't know how at the moment your operations are going, but let's say if you don't have the 24/7 support yet, the bot might expand the support into the 24/7, even though the bot won't be able to answer all of the queries. Let's say, I don't know, 30 or 40, or maybe even though 50% of these. The rest could be, logged somehow in the system that you're using, and then the agents would be able to deal with them when they will be starting the shift. But the customer will have that right to, to ask for the support at any time when he needs it. So that's, I think, also very, very important from the customer service perspective.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. So thank you very much, Mark and Greta, for taking the time, for being so candid with your answers. And hope our listeners had fun and they learned a lot of stuff. If you want to book a demo with Netomi, please do so from our webpage. We'll be very happy to hear from you. If any of what you heard sounds interesting or you have further questions, drop us a note. Again, you can do this all through our website. So we hope to see you all here, as our customers very soon. And thank you, Mark and Greta. Here's to many, many more years of cooperation between Simplex and Netomi.
Yes, here's to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.